Hello fellow humans and welcome to another episode of Subscriber Replays. If you want to send me your replays, put them on my Discord server, link to that in the description. And if you're not a subscriber yet, well why not? Subscribe button is right down there. And we start off today with T124, a tank destroyer that isn't really as much of a tank destroyer as a malformed heavy tank. But the only really thing that is tank destroyer about this thing is that it doesn't have a fully traversable turret because of obviously the massive exhaust at the rear. It can't traverse its turret all the way around. Now, I have no idea what that guy is doing, but exposing your rear armor to a 155mm gun is a very bad idea. And game awareness is something that is very important and clearly not the case there. Especially if you have a vehicle like this, you do need good game awareness. Because what we have here, we have the mediums of the team playing the sea capture circle, which is what you do not want to do, especially if you're in a medium at all. Still in the armor right there. And now that means that the enemy medium tanks have a absolutely massive advantage here because they're able to take the map control, they're able to take over the map, while the team's mediums here sit in a corner and do absolutely nothing. So that's not really ideal. Because what you want is you want map control. The more map control you have, the more you can control the map. Makes sense, right? Now the T-54, again, peeking into a vehicle that can do over 1080 HE damage with a part of your armor that can be penned by HE is not really a good idea at all. Then again, also peeking a 183 is also a very bad idea, so you got very lucky here. So overall, not going too great. 2 down, unfortunately, already. It's one of the mediums. The other medium is camping in a corner. Now, to their credit, the enemy team does have 3 mediums to this team's 2 mediums, which is somewhat unfair, and I don't think that should be a thing, especially when there's also light tanks involved. One team has 2 mediums and 1 light tank, and the other team has only 1 medium. That just doesn't make any sense, because essentially the difference between mediums and light tanks is essentially just that light tanks retain their camo rating while they're moving. There is a far bigger difference between, let's say, this vehicle and something like a Grill 15 or an AMX-50B and E100. There is a far bigger difference between those 2 vehicles in the same class than there is between most mediums and lights. So that matchmaking decision does not make any sense, and they probably should be bundled together at that point. And now here, again, what is that? Now, you could side script there, or you could just not peek at all, but that was a very nice snapshot. And now it is 2 versus 4, which is not good at all. And I guess peeking sideways into a big gun is in favor, because that is happening quite a lot here. And now the T-54 is charging forward, and it can somewhat make sense because this vehicle's locked turret, and also that could have been HE, 1 HP. If that shell would have been HE, it would have been dead, or it would have done 50 damage. So that is, well, a thing you can do against a vehicle like this. And if you're playing something like an E4, you absolutely want to avoid having that done to you. So try to play close to cover, and that's true for really any vehicle that you do want to play somewhat close to cover. That if, let's say, a light tank is approaching you, they want to try to get around you, you just back up against a rock, and then nobody can flank you and get around you because the rock's behind you. So that is something that I highly recommend doing, especially in tank destroyers. Always play around a piece of cover, especially also in a vehicle that isn't really the fastest. Like, let's say you're playing a Stura ML, you do not want to be caught out in the open ever. That's a bit easier with light and medium tanks because obviously you can move to other places faster, but the slower you are, the closer you have to play to cover, because otherwise someone spots you, someone's going to shoot at you, you're going to be dead, you can't get out, especially if they know how to aim, which is rare, but it happens anyway. And now a 183, very big threat here, because the 183 can obviously one-shot a 719 HP T124 quite easily, even given that American tanks tend to have very bad side and rear armor. Could probably also send some hash through the rear or side, but the 183 instead decides to send the hash through the front of the vehicle, which is the most well-armored part, only deals 300 damage and gets wrecked. Ouch. And now, last remaining enemy, the pesky little T-54 That is on 1 HP. Now, what do you do in a situation like this if you are in a slow vehicle and you're trying to chase something that is a lot faster? Well, if you're in Supremacy, it can make sense to take the cap circles, but obviously you also have the problem that the T-54 is a lot faster, so it can retake cap circles on the opposite side of the map a lot easier. So in this case, you kind of do want to be the T-54 in this scenario, because even though the E4 has the much better gun and much better armor, T-54 has also gotten the TVP. T-54 does have the map control advantage here. Something he really wants to have, and on top of that, he also has the points advantage. There's only 1 minute left, so it is going to be pretty tricky to actually pull this off here. But going to the A cap makes sense to just simply stop the enemy's advance of points, because if it doesn't, T-54, he's just going to run, he's going to get out of there, he's going to be just about fine. And now, I want to talk about this a little bit, because while it does sort of make sense to take a snapshot there, it also leaves you very vulnerable for the 10 seconds that you're reloading, because if the T-4 shows up from a different angle, you're going to get wrecked. So not recommend that. But very nice snapshot there for the end. T-4 did get a shot off, but it wasn't good enough. And his 1 HP sends it to 0 with a very nice victory right here for Gele. I can't pronounce the rest of the name, but well done. Very nice game played right here. And the T-4, he should have just gone to C. Take the C cap, play the points. He would have been just fine. But no, can't do that. What we can do is get to the next game. This time in the Hull Down King, the STB-1. Good gun depression, good turret armor. What's it for? That's right, playing Hull Down. Because why not? It's got one of the highest gun depressions in tier 10 now, which is very lovely. And here comes the Progetto, which should not be trifled with. And that might have been a little bit of a mistake there, going too far. But this is a tactic that I call hit point spotting, where you sacrifice a couple of hit points that you can allow yourself to sacrifice for information. Only works if you're a good player. If you're fine with having a bit less hit points to play from there. Now, obviously, the Progetto, he's got no chance. He's screwed. And the only thing you can try to do in a situation like this is run away. But he's not even trying to do that, so he now is absolutely screwed. And so the T-4 as well. He's not really trying to run either, because that would be going the other way. But again, he's trying to fight. And it does sort of make sense why he's trying to fight the STB here. But there's 2 other vehicles around him. There's no chance for the T-4 to kill the STB without getting himself wrecked as well. So that is a very bad decision to make there. And it's very, very emblematic of the Blitz player base these days. It's just not thinking, just driving. Now, is it fun? Because that's what the game's for, obviously. Because if that T-54 just had fun, then technically he did absolutely nothing wrong for himself. But that's obviously not really that great for his team, because they're not quite having fun seeing that. But if he's had fun, kind of did his mission, because that's what the game's for, to have fun. So I guess, but still, that is a very bad decision that you should never make. If you are in a 1vx situation, get out of there, reposition, play from a different angle. It's gonna work a lot better than charging into 3 tanks and dying guaranteed. And it's also probably going to be more fun to outplay the enemy rather than just rushing into them and feeding them free hit points. At this point, after 3 minutes, it is a 3 versus 3, which is not too bad. And the IS-7 has now decided that brawling with a T-62A is a good idea. Again, what this IS-7, he has 2 options there, is get his ass up against the red line, which is sort of what he's doing there, to avoid the 62A getting around him, but he's not doing it really that well, because the 62A can still drive around him. So getting onto the red line there is what you want to do, and he does go down to the Jagdpanzer 100. So now the STB knows where the Jagdpanzer is as well. It's very useful. Pay attention to what's going on, because the Jagdpanzer just killed the IS-4. So if you have the map knowledge to work it out, you'll, well, roughly know where the Jagdpanzer can be and what kind of area you can play from. And there you go. You already have more information. And that's pretty much the essence to World of Tanks Blitz. Just pay attention and don't rush into people randomly. If you want to do that, though, and you want to have fun, then sure, as long as you're sort of carrying your own weight, it's perfectly fine to just throw, because, I mean, that's what I'm doing, essentially, but I'm throwing pretty well. But as long as you're having fun, it doesn't really matter what you do as long as you don't subtract from your teammates also having fun. That's the story of the game, and that's how it's been forever. And now, it's going to be very careful here. So you're just driving very carefully, because you don't know where the Jagdpanzer's gone. You know, 30 seconds since he killed that IS-7 or even longer. So, got to be very careful. And now, just get out there. I mean, he's just looking at you. But it's very... This is a move that I very much appreciate of, because he's just peeking him. It's like, hey, I know I'm faster than you. You can't shoot me while I'm peeking. And that's a thing that can backfire. But if you're fast enough and you've played for long enough, you'll be just perfectly fine. And now the Jagdpanzer, he's just really between a rock and a hard place here. And now he's just between a hard place, because he just absolutely nuked him. And look at that. Can't pen the lower plate. Medium tanks used to have 330 heat pen and full premium damage. There was a time where medium tanks were actually good in this game. But now, less penetration and less premium alpha damage. Not cool. But they still work, obviously. Just a little bit harder to make the mediums work now than it was a couple of years ago. But now, it still works out just fine. And the only tank remaining now for the mighty STB to find is a Torti. And there it is. 531 HP. STB can take shots. So essentially what you could do here, you could take a gamble, you peek, you take a shot, and then you're both one shot, and then you play it out differently. But ideally, you don't want to end up, and you just want to simply keep your advantage of not being one-shottable while putting the Taurus in a one-shot. And the Taurus is also stock, which makes it a lot easier and sort of less satisfying. But anyway, gone. He is. And that is the game. I don't know. Maybe this was useful. Probably not. But thank you very much for watching another episode of Your Replays. And if you want to send me your own replays, as I said at the beginning, put them on my Discord server. Link to that in the description. See you in the next one. Goodbye.